Your 9 to 5 job is sucking the life out of you and you're not making enough money. Vending looks amazing. It's a great way of you making more money. But you're thinking to yourself, how do I actually start a vending company while I'm working my 9 to 5? And then what happens if you buy a machine and you can't find a spot to put it? Or you find a spot to put it and it's actually a low revenue account, and your machine, not only does it not make you money, it costs you money.
Mm-mm.
Then, how are you supposed to service a machine and fill it with product and pick up the money while you're working a 9 to 5 job? How are you going to find the time? You have an opportunity in front of you. There's an incredible amount of money to be made in the vending machine business, but often new operators, they're desperate and they're inexperienced, and they put machines in locations that aren't going to make them any money, and they fail within 90 to 180 days because they haven't thought about all the things that go into running a small vending company. Vending done right can be your path to freedom from your 9 to 5, and in the meantime can be an incredible side hustle to increase the amount of money you make. So, who am I? I'm James Brown, a former vending executive of one of the largest portfolios of vending machines in the world. And now I specialize in helping smaller operators land locations and avoid all of the traps that newer vending machine operators fall into so that they can quickly grow their vending business and make a lot of money. Okay, let's go through all the things that you need to be aware of when trying to get your first machine while you have a 9 to 5. The first one is going to be time. While you're working a 9 to 5, it's going to be quite hard to pitch potential locations that are usually good because they often work a schedule that is the same as what you work, which means you might actually disqualify some of the standard accounts that are easier for new operators to land, like, 100 to 200 person production plants and stuff that operate kind of during regular work hours. So instead, you should focus on things that are open later or earlier or on the weekends, like rec centers. I always talk about rec centers. These are often independents, but they do really, really good volume. So focus on things like that, like YMCAs, hotels, casinos, apartment buildings, right? Generally, if you have access to an apartment building, you can service it whenever you want. Ideally, if you can, and this is going to depend on how settled you are in your job and exactly what you do, but if you have a job you don't really care about, maybe it's not a career, you could switch to working nights. This is going to be by far the easiest way to start while you're working another job because everybody is going to be open during the day, right? And it's much easier to, get meetings and go pitch these locations when you can do it during a regular kind of work day time frame. The next hurdle you're going to have to cross is landing your first machine. And the first machine is always the most difficult. What I always recommend to new people is ask every single person you know if they have vending machines where they work, and then ask if they're happy with the vending machines. Do the vending machines work well? Are they stocked properly? Are they clean? Right? This could potentially give you an avenue in. And if you do have a friend who's a business owner, starting out there may help as well. Just make sure you don't take some, 10-person trucking company that doesn't have any outside visitors, because even though it feels good to land your first location, it's not going to help you. You're not going to make any money off of it. One of the main ways people fail is they just, like I said before, they land a location that doesn't further their plans, right? It's just enough to pay the monthly amount that they finance the machine for, or it makes you, a few hundred to maybe $1,000 a year, which is not a lot for you to scale up. If a machine costs you $5,000 and you only make $500 of profit in a year, it takes you 10 years of running that machine to actually buy another machine without injecting funds from somewhere else. I have a 21-step blueprint to landing locations right from the very beginning to install. So go down into the description and the pinned comment and just download that. And then make sure to watch the video that's attached to it. There's links within the resource. This is going to be critical to helping you land locations once you've kind of got through your friend Rolodex. So think about this. You land your first machine and you're working a 9 to 5, so clearly you're going to be extremely busy. Filling the machine on nights or weekends, essentially anytime you're not working, especially if it's a busy machine, you might have to fill it 2 times a week, 3 times a week. And if you get a really, really lucky and it's a hot machine, you might have to fill it almost every day. I've seen machines that had to be filled more than 5 times a week. So you've got a machine and something happens. Customer calls and says, the coin mech jackpotted, which means it shot all the coins out the bottom. Or there's a jam, or it's taking money, or any of the other things that can go wrong with a vending machine. Now, you got this machine and it's 30 minutes away versus you getting a machine that's 5 minutes away. So often newer operators, they don't think about geography and how much time it actually costs you when a machine is much further away. So try and stay very localized when you're working a 9 to 5. And if it was me, I wouldn't do it near where I worked, even though that can be really convenient to, work 9 to 5 and then service the machine on the way back home, because at some point you're going to leave that job probably. And unless this is just a side hustle, right? Like really, I mean, this is up to you, but I would recommend finding places near to where you live if that's possible, because I can tell you right now that a 5-minute drive each way to fix a bottle jam or a snack issue is a lot better than a 30-minute drive each way where it costs you an extra hour to go in and fix something that's gone wrong. And I think a lot of people underestimate how big this is. Choosing the right machine can be difficult when you're brand new because you don't really know what size of machine goes in for what population counts, or what machines are reliable, or what machines will sell the most. So my recommendation is, one, you must get a reliable machine, but you don't want to spend $10,000 on a machine for your first account, because your ROI on that is probably going to be very long unless you land a very high revenue account. So what you should do is go and get a reliable refurb. There's companies that do this where they essentially take older machines, they replace the internals, they put a new door on that looks really good. You can barely even tell that they're a used machine, and they work really well, and they're going to be in the, let's call it 3,500 to 5,500 US dollar range, and they're going to be a lot cheaper than a brand new machine. Or you can get a lower priced smart cooler. There's a couple of different vendors that provide lower priced options than some of the other higher end type of machines. So the key here is that you want a reliable workhorse of a machine. If you go spend $1,000 on a machine through Facebook Marketplace and it's 30 minutes away, and you have to drive there 3, 4, 5 times a week to fix it because it's just being an absolute pain, you're going to probably fail at vending because it's just going to be too much for you to keep the machine in working order, and the location is probably going to kick you out, or you're just going to quit on your own. So it is key to have reliable machines. If you combine that with geography, it takes you almost no time to service the machine because it works all the time and you're really close. And so you don't have to make these long trips. And let me tell you, there is nothing worse than your phone blowing up while you're at work about your vending machine, which you care a lot about because it's your own business, and being powerless while you're at work to do anything about it, and then having to drive a long ways to fix it. The next hard part about having a vending machine while you're working a 9 to 5 is buying and storing product. So the first is just go to Costco and Sam's. Don't overthink this. You're not going to have the volume to set up any sort of distributor deals unless you know somebody personally that does something like that. Go and hit up and buy things that are on sale. And then you want to make sure that in the machine, you price it at least double what you paid for it. And then you've also got to think about storage. If you're in an apartment or something like that, once you get to a few machines, it's going to be very problematic for you to store product. And I would recommend that you watch for sales and you buy things in bulk so that you're not buying product every single time you have to service the machine. Try and buy like at least a few weeks at a time, minimum 2 to 3 weeks of product at a time, so that you're not always being inefficient and having to go to the store and then fill your machine, because that is going to add up very quickly on you. The best kind of options I've seen are people running it out of their garage. And I've actually seen vending companies scale up to a pretty good size with just using their garage as storage for their vending machine company. Or maybe if you have a basement or something along those lines, maybe that's not always possible. But if you can set something up like that, that's going to keep you going for quite a while. You might be able to get to like 20 to 40 machines operating just out of your garage. Although if you did get to 40, you'd probably be wishing you had a small bay or something like that, but I think that's a good problem to have. So finally, you have to have a truck, or you must be able to rent a U-Haul, or you must be able to hire somebody in your area to install the vending machine. Please be very careful with this. It's totally doable, but you need the right equipment and you must understand how dangerous it is. I've got a guide, like I said before. It's in the description and in the pinned comment that is going to lay every single part of the install of like landing location right through to the install and what equipment you need, and even what you should bring with you to the site when you install. So go in, download that, and watch the video. And also, I have a Skool community where I help people just like you start and grow super profitable vending companies so that they can leave their jobs and go full time and achieve financial freedom. Make sure and come check it out. It's low cost, and the link is going to be down below.